In a world that is more global than ever before, we oftentimes end up in places where we have to start anew. And even if it's not us, sometimes it's our friends who end up moving out to explore new possibilities and dreams. Which means more often now than ever before, we are finding ourselves in a situation where we have to build our social lives and build new meaningful connections from scratch. And it makes perfect sense given the fact that we human beings were hardwired for social connections. This is something that I had to navigate when I moved to Canada in my late 20s. It goes without saying that it took a significant amount of time, effort, and willingness on my part, along with pushing quite a bit out of my comfort zone, but it was all worth it in the end because where I am now, socially speaking, I feel very good about that. I have few very good friends whom I can rely upon in moments of crises, and in that process I have learned a few things, and I think I have cracked the code of making friends as an adult.
Drum roll, please.
So the first and the most important step is to find a project or a hobby that you actually enjoy doing, or at the very least you can see yourself enjoy doing somewhere down the line once you have spent more time with it or you have gained a certain level of skill. The reason this is so important is because we human beings have a way of bonding through shared experiences. What happens when you are out of school or move to a new city is that you share very little to nothing with the people around you, which can make connecting very hard. If you have a hobby or a project that you're working on that's social in nature and that brings people together, you can build that sense of having a context, and now you guys have something in common that you can talk about. A lot of this has happened for me through the dancing scene in the city that I am in right now. It's an activity that's social in nature, there's a lot of people in it, and right off the bat I have something to share with all these people. And it doesn't necessarily have to be dancing for you. I mean, dancing is a great option, but if you're in a big city anywhere in the West, there are probably hundreds of options that you can choose from. Examples being hiking, running, photography, joining a martial arts club, which is great because you learn and grow with other people, both physically, mentally, and spiritually. In summer here in Toronto, I see a lot of people getting together and playing spike ball. If you go to the beaches, there are volleyball clubs, soccer clubs, and whatnot. So to sum it up, the hobby should be something that's social in nature, that brings people together and makes them work together. And even if your hobbies are something that is not social in nature, there are ways to make it social. For example, if you're a big reader, which I am, I like spending a lot of time in libraries. You can join book clubs where people read a book and then they exchange views and opinions on it. So there are a multitude of options to take an advantage of. Well, once you have picked an activity that you enjoy doing, guess what the next step is? It is to stick to the activity for a reasonable period of time. Well, I'm not saying you have to dedicate all the rest of your life to it, but it does take a little bit of time, like somewhere between a month to 6 months. And the reason this is important is because it breeds a sense of familiarity. If you think about it, this is what used to make making friends so much easier back in school or in university, because we keep seeing each other pretty often. So building meaningful connections unfortunately takes a little bit of time. You have to be there, you have to make a presence in these people's lives, and they have to make a presence in yours. And in that process, you now have more things to share and talk about. And also there's this sense of familiarity, which makes people more comfortable approaching each other and having conversations. So once you have chosen an activity that you love and enjoy doing, stick to the activity. That is the next step. So let's see where you are at. You have chosen an activity, you have committed to it for a month to 6 months. It's something that you love doing, hopefully 2 to 3 times a week, and you're having a good time doing it. You are surrounded by a group of people and you are interacting with them within the context of the activity. The job is not yet done. you still need to make small talk with these people. Here's why. In big cities, we are very busy. We're constantly in our heads and we are on this go, go, go hyperactive mode all the time. So just doing the activities together is not going to further the connection. You have to make small talk. You have to say hello to people. I know small talk is something that could seem dreadful. A lot of us are not very interested in doing it, but guess what? It's the bridge to more meaningful conversations and connections. So you have to be willing to say hi to a bunch of people. And sometimes the environment might not seem super friendly for that. Like I said, in these big cities, a lot of us, we are in our heads. So even when people are sitting across a common area, they would probably be in their phones and just doing their thing. And now you are getting into your head and wondering, how do I start a conversation? You don't have to do anything fancy or witty or clever. Just say hello and just ask how their day is going and if they're at a place to continue the conversation, and do a little chit chat. Oftentimes, what you notice is people are actually very interested, but they don't know what to do, which is why they retreat into their phones. And once you take the first step to initiate these conversations, you realize that they are just as interested in connecting with the world around you as them. And if there are other people sitting around you, now they want to join in as well. And before you know, all of you guys are talking, and now you have a little more familiarity that's outside the context of the activity. Well, if you have done the first 3 steps right, you should be meeting at least a few people and getting to know them on a surface level. Here is something that you can do to take all of that up a notch. You guys can start hanging out outside the social setting that you have met in. And the reason for that is oftentimes the social setting that you have met in, as I have mentioned before, for me, that was the dancing scene and my dance school. It's not quite conducive to have conversations because we are so busy and we have to get going with our daily agendas and everything. But if you move the interaction outside that social setting to one that's more relaxed, and people are there actually to socialize and get to know each other, that just makes it so much easier. If you have your own place or you're renting a place, house parties are a great way for doing this. If not, no big deal. You guys can still go grab a drink on the weekends, go hike together, or just do something together in a group. Maybe do a brunch on the weekend or something. So again, there are a ton of ideas. Here is one tip. Don't get too much into your head about this. You do not see a lot of people doing that, and that's not because people don't want to socialize, but because we are extremely busy. So when you do make the effort to bring people together, people will really appreciate it. Trust me on this one, and you will be pleasantly surprised. The last and final step that I have for you guys is to hang out with people in a one-on-one setting. This is only for the ones that are looking for a deeper, meaningful connections. Because let's be honest here, parties are not really the place for deeper conversations. It's more of an easygoing, fun vibe, and you don't really want to discuss about the meaning of life there. But if you're someone like me who thrives on those meaningful conversations about life, philosophy, and are looking to learn from people's experiences and are interested in them on a deeper level, you have to spend time with them one-on-one. Also, forming great friendships require an element of authenticity and vulnerability. And parties are not quite the place to do that because we're amongst a lot of people, and there's this very understandable resistance to being open and seen in ways that we would be more comfortable in a one-on-one setting. And the other steps that we have discussed so far in the video should nicely set you up for this, because you already have spent some time with this person. You know if you're gonna vibe or not. And the way you go about this is very simple. You ask them to grab coffee with you, to grab dinner with you, or whatever it is that you want to do. So there you go, guys. You now have a simple framework that you can use to make friends as an adult anywhere in any situation and no matter wherever you are in the world. Social isolation is something that I have deeply struggled with. And honestly, I'm a little concerned about how things are in the world that we live in, with our heads buried in these technologies, and the technologies are just getting better and better, more and more stimulating. So as we get more and more hooked to this digital world, we're losing connection with ourselves. So this is a topic that I feel deeply called to talk about, and I hope this was of some help. If you got some value out of this, make sure to like and subscribe, and let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, keep going out there and keep overcoming yourself one day at a time.